Okay, character spotlight on the Lord Slug. Now I know there are gonna be a few people who'll be like, oh, stop doing character spotlights on lame characters, do them on the cool characters. And I don't know what to say to that. I'm going to do a character spotlight on as many characters as I can. I'm gonna try to go through the whole cast. It's gonna take me a while. I'm eventually gonna have to do character spotlights on the lame characters. Might as well try to get them out the way right now. I don't think Lord Slug is lame. I think he's pretty cool. I think most of the Dragon Ball cast is pretty cool. I am a Dragon Ball fan. I don't only like Goku. I don't only like the fusions. I like almost every character in the cast. So if you want to see the cool characters, be patient, please. I will be doing Goku Black soon. Unfortunately, I don't really like Goku Black all too much. That's a spoiler for you guys. But enough yapping. You know, first things first. We check out his resources. 3 health bars, 2 key bars, 0 skill points. Average start. Neither at an advantage or disadvantage when you switch him in or start with him. Second thing we do, we check out his rush chains. Gut punch as the first one. Gut punch again, that's nice. I think that's called a blaster wave. It's not a ki, but I do like this. It has a frontward and backward hitbox. So if they do vanish behind you, you could use this. You could use this, and if they vanish behind you, it will hit them. The thing is that since it's the 3rd hit of his rush chain, it's unlikely because people will vanish on the 1st or 2nd hit. So yeah, the utility of the blaster wave has been lost because it's on the 3rd hit. Or I don't want to say it's been lost. Let's say if they do a late vanish, then it could still hit them. And a rolling hammer as his 4th. Not bad. I like it. I really like his rush chain. His combo extension, step in, is also a rolling hammer. Rolling hammer is really nice. I've been really liking rolling hammer as a step-in attack now because if you've seen my previous videos, you know I always say, oh, I prefer a gut punch, but now rolling hammer, I find a lot of utility in it. So it's nice to have one character who has a gut punch and another character who has a rolling hammer. So it just mixes things up, and it's a nice change of pace, and it does have its utility. You could easily take someone's back like this, and it's not blockable. It will break someone's guard if you fully charge it. So they have to vanish it or sidestep it or super perception it or super counter it, which is not the easiest, or even revenge counter it, which is probably not the most efficient counter in this situation. All right, let's check out Lord Slug's perception move. Gut punch. There you go. You guys know I love a perception gut punch. Now let's check out his supers. He has a 2 key bar super. Finger beam, which is very, very good. Finger beam could be quite cheesy, and since it's 2 key bars, it is very, very good. Second super is this, where it does a sideways sweep, and it's an I beam. I haven't really found much utility in it. I wonder if it's good for stopping like the elevatoring. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it, but if you guys know any utility for it, comment it, please. I don't really ever use this sweeping beam, but I imagine it could catch someone who's trying to elevator all the time. So yeah, but since it comes out so delayed, it's not that. I don't know if you could combo into it really easily. Let's find out. Yeah, that missed. Okay, yeah, that's not good for combo extensions, I guess, or ending a combo. Let's try a different way to connect it at the end of a combo. I might have done that a little late. Okay, it connected, but since he's grounded, it scaled really hard. Probably not the best. Let's compare that to a finger beam. Yeah, if anything, the finger beam did more damage, so I'm not sure if his 3 key bar super is the best, so that kind of sucks. It would have been nice if he had a rush super, but not every character is perfect. Now let's check out his skills. You already know, explosive wave. I really love explosive wave, such a good skill. Okay, now let's look at his second skill. His second skill is High Tension, which specifically to Lord Slug, he will gain 2 key bars. Some characters, they gain 2 key bars from High Tension. Other characters, they don't gain any key bars. Super Saiyan Gotenks gains a full key gauge from High Tension. So I'm pretty confused on why it's so inconsistent depending on the character. It would have been nice if they gave every character some sort of key from High Tension, because the buff moves are not the best. What makes High Tension so good is because you could gain key bars off of it for certain characters. And if you're using Super Saiyan Gotenks, you could gain a full key bar, a full key gauge, and you could spam Galactic Donut. So that's some random cheese I just told you guys about. Now, since you gain 2 key bars off of High Tension, and you have a 2 key bar super, there's a lot of utility. So the Finger Beam has Stun Lock. If you hit your opponent with the Finger Beam, it will cause a hard knockdown that they cannot recover from. From normal hard knockdowns, you could recover from it from doing down and up, down and up. But from a Finger Beams like Death Beams or Lord Slug's Finger Beam or Dodon Ray, that is a true hard knockdown. They cannot recover from it. So if you guys are high in the sky like this, right, you get him in a combo, right? Let's say you get him with a regular hard knockdown, hit them with this. He cannot recover from that. High Tension. Do it again. 21k damage off the most simple combo ever. And you might even be able to charge up and do it a 3rd time. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it, but it does give a small buff. High Tension does give a small buff to your supers. So you saw it did 7,400 damage there. It expired by now. Let's compare the damage. 6,700. So it gave a good amount of damage. It gave a good buff. So very easy way to get a lot of damage off, especially if you have the skill points to spare. You could do a 21k damage combo very easily if you guys are pretty high up in the sky. Of course, if you guys are low to the ground, he might have time to recover. But at the same time, Finger Beam is not the hardest thing to vanish. But hey, not every player is perfect. Even good players will mess up and you could catch them with this. So yeah, it's a very strong tech. And I've been hit by this. I've been hit. It's insane. It's very frustrating when you get hit by a Finger Beam and you're stun locked. Now, let's take a look at Lord Slug's ultimate. Unfortunately, Lord Slug does not have an instant spark. It might not be the easiest to get into sparking mode, but let's take a look at this anyway. That is super brutal. He just grabs him by the neck and punches him like he's a freaking high school bully. 14.2k damage, not bad. 4 DP characters, their ultimates are not going to cause the most damage. So yeah, since he doesn't have instant spark, Lord Slug is probably not an instant a sparking mode type of character. A lot of his utility is in explosive wave, the gut punches, using the Finger Beams. Now let's look at his ki blasts. They're not the most spammable, but spamming your ki blast is probably not the best anyway. Lord Slug does take a lot of ki throwing out ki blasts, so probably not best to spam them, right? So even if they're not very spammable, even if they were very spammable, you probably shouldn't use them like that, because look how easy it is to run through his ki. So just throw them out one at a time. That's the best way to open someone up anyway. You shouldn't really be spamming your ki blast too hard. Now my favorite thing about Lord Slug is his charged ki blast. He throws 2 of them out and it paralyzes them. Look how long it paralyzes them. There have been times where I threw this out, it paralyzed them, and I'm just like, I don't even notice, and then I have so much time that I'm able to just like raw react to it and open them up because it paralyzed them. The downside of it is that they could deflect it and paralyze you as well. But since 2 comes out, if they only deflect 1, you'll both be paralyzed. So very few times have they deflected me and been able to paralyze me, and they're not paralyzed as well. Now, an interesting thing about his ki blast, I believe his charged ki blast, they don't really move faster with the different kinds of charged ki blasts, right? But they do track a little harder. If you throw one standing still, they don't track that hard, right? But if you throw one while moving, if this PC would leave me alone, CPU, if you throw one while moving, it tracks a little harder. If you throw one while dashing, it tracks really hard. You see how I was able to catch him? And then you can also use High Tension to gain some more ki and be able to spam this even harder. You see how that's not really tracking? Oh, he deflected it. So If you stand still, it doesn't track too hard. If you move a little bit, it tracks a little harder. And if you dash, it tracks really hard. So if you're like from medium distance, it's still not the best from long range. So Lord Slug is not a long range type of character, but if you're like in this distance, it will track them really hard. Unless they dash away from it. Yep. And as usual with these ki blasts, you can only throw one kind at a time, so you can't spam 2 of them at once. I believe that's the case for every character, but if they're slow moving, you have to wait for it to hit. So if it's a fast moving ki blast, like the normal ki blast, you still have to wait for it to hit, but it's a little more spammable because it moves quicker, of course, so it disappears quicker. So with charged ki blast, in order to use multiple, you have to wait for it to hit or disappear from the screen, which since it's slow moving, you cannot really use it multiple times. Let's test if that's true what I said with the fast moving ki blast. Faster moving ki blast. I don't think you could use 2 at a time. Yeah, you have to wait for it to hit before you're able to throw another one out. So since it's a slow, Lord Slug has a slow moving ki blast, it will take forever for it to hit. I do want to test the range on it. It disappears. Let's see if the range increases if you move around. The distance does not increase, but like I said, it seems, I'm not sure, but whenever I've used it in a match, when I move around or dash, it tracks a lot harder. So if you're at mid distance and you do a dashing charged ki blast, it will track them really hard, and in order for them to dodge it, they have to dash away as well. The downside of the charged ki blast is that it does cost a lot of ki. Look, it costs more than half a ki bar. It's insane, so you have to be careful with how often you use it. But fortunately, like we reviewed earlier, we have high tension, so we could gain 2 ki bars very easily, but at the same time, it's still a lot of resources, and his regular charging is not the fastest. This is high tension charging. I do think high tension gives a faster charge. Let's wait for it to expire and we could compare the differences. Yeah. It's a little, I mean, it's medium speed. It's not slow, nor is it very fast. Let's check out his dashing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So he could dash 4 times with 1 ki bar. So that's not bad. He's not like those jacked and stacked characters that could only dash twice with 1 ki bar. So Lord Slug has decent movement. His ki blast is not the best from long range, but it is good at medium range. Just remember that if you do use it from medium range, it's probably best to dash and use this and use a charged ki blast, although it will spend a lot of ki, so that's why I don't really use it too often, but whenever I do use it, it could be very powerful. Oh, and another thing I forgot to review is that if you want to throw multiple charged ki blasts, you have to do all the different types of ki blasts. So like we said earlier, you cannot throw 2 ki blasts at the same time, charged ki blasts. But if you do want to throw multiple, let's say you had 3 ki bars, like here for example, and then you use high tension, you could spam a bunch of them. Right, so let's say we close the distance, you throw 1 standing still, you throw 1 dashing, you throw 1 moving. Right, so that is a good amount of pressure, and you could probably, yeah, set them off. But it costs a lot to do it. So and if your opponent is moving, it could be a waste. It depends on the situation. If you could find that opening and then use high tension to gain a lot of ki, you could use it and take advantage of it and cause a lot of damage. Another great thing about characters that gain ki bars from high tension is that you could use it to counter like android sometimes, right? Let's say for example, let's say you have 3 ki bars. Use this, you have a full ki gauge now, and you can engage with an android pretty safely. So high tension giving you 2 ki bars is pretty massive. It's very, very good. And it increases your charging speed, so you could use Lord Slug to really counter androids. Now another thing that could counter androids, right? Specifically androids 19 and 20, not really the other androids, but even then, you could counter 16, counter 16, 17, and 18 by transforming to a giant. Why is that? Because those are lower DP characters. You need a 7 DP character. Well, not need, but 7 DP character will easily counter giants. If they're less than 7 DP, they will struggle. Except for Android 13. Android 13 could transform to a 7 DP character. Now, if you didn't notice there, when Lord Slug transforms, he gains a full ki gauge, so you could really take advantage of that. And his Ki Blasts are a little more spammable in his giant form, although it still costs a lot. I'm not sure if his charged Ki Blast still paralyzes them. It's hard to see. No, it doesn't paralyze them, but it's still slow moving. You don't really have a normal Z-Burst dash. I'm sure all of you know. You have this unblockable dash, which is very annoying to deal with. Lord Slug's giant form charges Ki very, very fast. Right, you could literally just sit there and charge. If they approach you, explosive wave. Right, so you could bait them. You could even bait them if they try to approach you. You could even, if you charge enough Ki, you could bait them to dash at you and then use super explosive wave, and that'll catch them. Right, we discussed the utility of an explosive wave before. He has pump up, which I guess could be useful, but it slows down your charge speed. It's still charging very quick. So if you charge all the way up to full Ki gauge, and then use pump up, oh my gosh, it'll probably do a lot of damage. Be very annoying. Right, as a giant character, you already do a lot of damage. Using pump up and getting 3 buffs on your attacks. Look how much damage his charged smash attack is doing. 5k. Insane. It's very silly. Giant characters are so silly. In his giant form, his supers are not the best. He gets this sweeping beam super again. Not the best. And like we discussed earlier, he has super explosive wave. Again, not the best, but you could, since he charges Ki so fast, you could gain the 4 Ki bars and you might cause him to panic and Z-Burst dash at you, which, like I said, you could use it to bait him and catch him with the super explosive wave. So we discussed his skills, his supers, and his Ki Blasts. Let's see his ultimate. Oh, it's a mouth beam. The mouth beam, oh my god! 19.5k damage. Oh my god, that's insane. Isn't it sad that his mouth beam has a cutscene, but Vegeta's Final Flash does not have a cutscene? Yeah, 19.5k damage is absolutely insane. Wow. Now, as you can probably tell, I never really play with giant characters. I do not know much about giant characters. I made a video talking about giants a little bit because I made that video to talk about how I would counter what happened at the French Grand Finals, which they just used androids 19 and 20, took advantage of their keyless dashing and dashed up and down the entire time. And the unblockable Z-Burst dash by giants will be able to catch elevatoring. The way to counter the Z-Burst dashing is if you dash all the way up to the sky, giants will not be able to hit you with the Z-Burst dash. Right, so if you're using a giant and they do that to you, just simply switch your character. You shouldn't be using a full giant team anyway, not in my opinion. That's a little overkill. But even if they do dash all the way to the sky, you can just start hitting them with Ki Blasts. Right? Wow, he has no range on his Ki Blasts. Oh, his charged Ki Blast hit from this range. So that's nice. It seems like his charged Ki Blast increased in range when he transforms. Yeah, and moves a little quicker. And it costs less. But even then, he charges Ki so quickly. Look at this. This is insane. Okay, in the video where I discussed giants for a little bit, I did not know you could hit grounded opponents. If you use regular attacks on grounded opponents, you will miss. Right? But they... Oh. That hit them. But you will miss most times then, I should say. I got a ton of comments saying if you use perception, you could hit grounded opponents. Which... I don't know why I can't do it. This is why I wasn't able to figure it out. Okay. So on for standard controls, I guess it's using perception, which is just a circle or B, right? But on classic controls, it's down and attack. Interesting. Interesting. I did not know that. That is very interesting. Yeah, that's insane damage right there. Not many people use giant rust chains. Okay, I have to knock it into the sky. Okay, rolling hammer as his first. Okay, I'm not doing this correctly. Okay, that specific type of Ki. Oh my gosh. He attacks so slowly. And gut punch as the third. Which, if you're a giant player, I mean, a lot of giant players, they just mindlessly swing. They just mash the attack button and do nothing else. Like, you could still take advantage of rush chains. Let's see what his fourth one is. Does he not have a fourth one? Okay, there's no fourth rush chain. Can you do a low sweep with giants? I don't think you could do a low sweep. Interesting. But if they're on the ground, it's probably annoying to deal with anyway, so probably best to just use a charged smash attack upwards and get them in the sky. That way you don't have to do any like specific inputs, because changing your playstyle could be a little weird unless you play giants enough to the point where it's just muscle memory. Yeah, look at this. Insane. Yeah, I don't think you could do a low sweep. Can you do a... Oh no, you can't even do a lift strike with giants. Interesting. I'm trying to do a lift strike. Yeah, no. So giants have odd combo strings. Something I'm not used to. Their dashing accumulates a lot of ki, or consumes a lot of ki. So that's interesting, but then again, like I keep saying, his charging speed is very, very quick, so it doesn't even matter. So yeah, Lord Slug is really good, especially in his base form, and then if you need to transform to a giant, you'll gain a whole ki bar, and you already know giants are very strong. Although it does cost 3 skill points to do it, so yeah, make sure you're healthy if you're gonna do it, because you turn into a 6 DP character and you will be locked in for a while. So if you're gonna transform to a giant, make sure you're healthy. But then again, you gain a whole health bar, so very strong, very strong. I'd say Lord Slug is one of the best 4 DP characters. Okay, I went on a massive tangent talking about how to counter giant characters, because when I transformed with Lord Slug, it inspired me to talk about how to counter giants. And I don't want to add it to this video because that'll just be 20 minutes extra, and this video is supposed to be a character spotlight. So I'm just gonna make the in-depth guide on how to counter giants a separate video, so look out for that. Enjoy my commentary on my Lord Slug gameplay, and like and subscribe if you learned something. Have a good night, you guys. Alright, so here I am commentating on some Lord Slug gameplay I had in DP battle. I forgot to turn on my overlays, so you could see an enlarged face cam of me. The guy I was going against was S5 rank, which I do bump into him again. You'll see why I have to bump into him again soon. But yeah, it was a rough night of gaming, to say the least. But whenever I do these character spotlights, I try my best to have them start on point, even if it's not the most optimal thing ever. But Lord Slug on point isn't that bad. Not too bad. I don't plan on transforming with him, so him on point is not the greatest anyway, if you don't plan on transforming. I usually like having my Gohan on point because I plan on transforming with him, so I can build up the skill points, switch out, regen health, and then I'll come back in with the skill points needed to transform, and I'll have a healthy transformed character. But like I said, I don't plan on transforming with Lord Slug, so no point in putting him on point. I do think I transformed with him at one point though, so that'll be cool and funny to see. And I just completely wipe his sword chunks with my Lord Slug because I keep up the pressure. And if you wipe a character, you won't be locked on to the next character that comes in. So if you switch a character, you'll be automatically locked on. But this guy seems to be using the cheese that he learned from tournaments, it seems, because Juro and Sword Chunks, very popular characters in tournaments, in the online qualifiers, which I've been noticing a lot of people copying the teams, which, hey man, I think you should come up with your own style and what you personally like. So with that being said, you shouldn't copy what I do either. You know, I always give you guys general tips, but you should just take what I say with a grain of salt, apply it to your gameplay, and see where you personally shine. This guy clearly is not very good with the androids. He doesn't know how to play them, so yeah. But False Courage spamming could be very strong, but he's not taking advantage of its strengths, and I also know how to counter it. And I'm trash for not stopping that grab. And the androids 19 and 20 are so strong because they start in with 2 skill points and 4 key bars. So they're at both an offensive and defensive advantage because of their starting resources. And because they start with 2 skill points, they basically have super armor for the entirety of the game. Which is, let me know if you guys think that's a little too much and OP. If I dare say, oh, it needs nerfs, there's gonna be one person crying about it. Oh, they don't need nerfs. Here's my Lord Slug again. Like I said, Lord Slug does rather well against androids. And one of the biggest reasons is because of Explosive Wave. The reason why Explosive Wave is so strong against androids is because, one, of course, they're really high pressure characters, and they most likely will always have key advantage over you. So if you super counter them, that will challenge a Vanish War, and they will probably win the Vanish War and gain momentum from there. But if you use Explosive Wave as a combo breaker, it just resets you guys to neutral. So it doesn't matter if they have key advantage over you in that instance. So using Explosive Wave as a combo breaker and resetting back to neutral is really good counter to androids. Because like I said, androids will most likely have key advantage. So using a super counter and forcing a Vanish War will not work in your favor. Most times, unless the guy is trash. So if you want to counter androids and you're having a really hard time, using a character that has a barrier or Explosive Wave is really good. Which, it doesn't have to just be Explosive Wave, it could just be a regular barrier. And he rage quits. Super funny. And here's my big, beautiful face cam again. I didn't have enough time to adjust my face cam to an appropriate size, so I just turned it off for the whole game. So it's all good. I'm usually just straight-faced throughout the whole time anyway, so you could use your imagination for that. And here's the second game with Lord Slug on point. Going against Teen Gohan on point. Let's see who it is. It is Hersky once again. Like I said, he is a S5 rank. Changed his team. He rage quit on me and then just went into character selection. Like, that'll make a difference. He's probably like, oh, I lost that game because I had Chunks on point. I think I was trying to taunt him for rage quitting. Okay, he has key advantage on me. That's fine. I'll farm the skill points. I use Revenge Counter because I think he's trying to set up a transformation, so I keep in the engagement, I win back the engagement. Unfortunately, he still has key advantage on me, so he might be able to transform here, but if he wants to transform, he will be locked in with me, so he's in a predicament. Does he want to transform, or does he want to switch? He uses a full power charge. That's fine, you can have key advantage over me, it's whatever. Someone commented on my video saying that I'm dead wrong and I'm doing a disjustice to my audience for saying key advantage is not the most important thing in the game and it's the most important thing in the game. And it's just like, yeah, it's very important, but is it the most important thing in the game? He had key advantage there. Could not do anything to me. He could have super countered me and won the Vanish War, but what will that lead to, right? So yes, key advantage, super countering, winning your Vanish Wars are very important. But are they the most important thing? No. Knowing what to do with all of that is more important. Decision making, thinking 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead is more important than all of that. All of that is just a supporting role. All of that is to set you up. But if you set yourself up for success and you don't know how to succeed, then that's not good. So as important as key advantage is, super countering is, yes, all of that should be practiced. All of that should be important to manage. But decision making is the most important thing in DP battle. And you can tell, he's not making the right decisions. He's making terrible decisions. And that is why he feels the need to rage quit. Because he doesn't know how to make decisions. And situational awareness, knowing, recognizing certain situations and knowing what to do in these situations is really important. That's why I'm able to beat so many people despite being in a key disadvantage. And again, it's not to say that key advantage is not important, but to think that's how you're gonna win a game, it's not. It's not how you're gonna win a game. It could be a reason why you win the game if you know what you're doing. So I transformed to a giant because he's using androids, and yeah, I just do this to him because he's a rage quitter. So might as well have fun. I know he's gonna leave the game anyway. Yeah, you can see how he's it is futile for him. Giant characters also break through false courage super armor. So when Android 19 claims that we should not bother and it is futile, not for giant characters. It is not futile for giant characters. They also can't grab you. So yeah, giant characters could counter androids pretty easily. That's not to say that you'll win all the time against androids, but it takes away a lot of their tools. Okay, he's using false courage against my giant. It still has utility because it does increase your defense, so even though you don't get the super armor, it will still increase your defense and you'll take less damage. And the androids, they don't really have anything else other than like that and like pump up, so might as well use it anyway instead of saving all your skill points. Damn, I cannot get a super counter off to save me. He just recovers, does a grab. I played Android 19 a little bit and I never grabbed because everyone is very aware of grabbing. So they're probably like, it's probably not gonna land. Might as well just use that to your advantage, them trying to look out for the grabs and just never grab them. And then that'll mess with their playstyle. He saved his Android 19 with a sliver of health. That was me kind of trolling him.
Very upset by this. Over here. A royal execution. Submit. Hurry up. I'll keep on trying.
Okay. Ground grab, another false courage. It seems like his team is built around false courage. But it's not gonna work on me because I know how to deal with it. And towards the end of your false courage, you lose your super armor. So if you could time it correctly, you could catch them off guard. And I win the game again. Well, I don't win. He rage quits again, I should say. But yeah, a rough night of gaming. This was maybe recorded of like last week or so. I think this was towards my my 51 win streak video. And yeah, I do bump into a lot of rage quitters. A lot of people say, oh, it's crazy that you got 50 games in a row without a rage quitter. No, I got a lot of rage quits. I just don't show it. Alright, but here I am showing it. Had I not gotten rage quitters throughout my win streak, I probably would have had like a 70 win streak or something. So like I'd say like 30% of my games that I play are rage quits. But I think they fixed rage quits at this point. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm not sure if they rage quit if it'll go towards your win streak. Not a big deal. Win streak is not anything to, you know, flex or anything. I flex it simply because I'm stupid. But I think people are saying that they give you ranked points every time someone rage quits. I'm not too sure how true that is though. Oh, I didn't start with Lord Slug on point. But I switch into him, so let's see how he does. Right now I'm getting destroyed. Nice little charged smash attack by him. Yeah, I'm getting wrecked right here. Yep, I'm getting wrecked. He should switch out his Gohan because he took a lot of damage. He did a lot of work with Gohan. Might as well switch with him. Okay, I finally vanished one of those. Okay, he finally switches his Gohan. He has Kefla. Now, a lot of people would probably be like, oh, he was outplaying you really badly there. And it was just like, no, not in my opinion. If anything, he was making really bad decisions, using a ton of supers all the time for nothing to come of it, because I just switch and regenerate my health. And that's a part of this game. That's a part of the strategy. I remember when I was in the Japan online qualifier group chat, not group chat, in the chat for the live stream, I said, oh, this game is really strategy based. And some people were laughing at it, and it's just like, you clearly don't play the game at a high level if you don't think this game has a lot of strategy to it. This game isn't just simply doing as much damage as you can, especially in DP battle, because I could easily nullify that. You have to think 3 steps ahead. And that's why so many people hate the switch mechanic, because their damage gets nullified. The switch mechanic forces people to think 3 steps ahead. It forces them to think, oh, should I spend my resources on this damage? Or should I just continue pressuring him, do damage with physical attacks, and then when he switches out again, and he has lower health, I could probably finish him with my supers or ultimates, but people don't think that. They just think damage, damage, damage. It's like if you ever played a MOBA game, like Dota 2, it's like if you just walk up to someone and then use your ultimate, yeah, you'll do a lot of damage to him, but does that matter? He probably has like a health regeneration pot, or he'll just back away. You should be using your supers and your ultimates to try and finish characters. That's not the case all the time. Yes, there are certain situations where you could use your supers and ultimates to really get off a lot of meaningful damage. But most times, if you're just gonna use your supers and ultimates willy-nilly, you have to understand you are spending a lot of ki and resources to do it. And you have to think of what comes out of it. Like in Dota or Dota 2, if you just walk up to someone, use an ultimate, you're gonna spend a lot of mana. What comes of it? Not much, because he's just gonna use a health regen pot, and then what? And then what? You don't have an ultimate. So most times, if you play MOBA games, you probably know to just save your ultimate for when they're low health, and then just finish them with the ultimate. If you walk up to someone and use your ultimate, that's a noob move. It's the same concept in this game. Same concept in this game, and it seems like a lot of people, especially like in the fighting game community, when they're playing this game, they don't understand that concept, and then they get frustrated and they say this game is cheesy, the switch mechanic is too strong. The switch mechanic is really strong, but it creates a massive skill gap and a massive knowledge gap, because then it makes you think about your decisions and think 3 steps ahead, which a lot of people don't do. A lot of fighting game players, they just think damage, damage, damage. Yes, that might be the case for traditional fighting games, getting as much damage as you can. But in this game, that's not the case. You have to know when. You have to know how to finish characters. And like I always say, this is not to say that this game doesn't need any tweaks. Yes, it needs a lot of tweaks. But a lot of times when people complain about these tweaks that are needed, I just see the holes in their gameplay, and it's like, okay, you lost that game or that engagement or whatever, not because the game is broken. Yes, the game is broken in several instances, but the instances that I see a lot of people complain about, it's not the game's fault. It's your fault. You made terrible decisions, and that led to a loss. And this is what this guy is doing. He's just making really bad long-term decisions. Yes, they're great short-term decisions because it does a lot of damage to me. But in the long term, what does it amount to? I played the long-term game, and I was able to beat him. But yeah, I spoiled the results. Yes, I beat him, and because I played the long-term game, I know how to use my resources better. I know how to keep up the pressure. I don't just think all damage all the time, right? Yes, getting damage out is very, very important, but there is more to it than just damage. Just like I said in MOBA games, if you think you're outplaying someone just because you're damaging them a lot, it doesn't matter. If they know how to finish you, then that's how they're gonna win. Right? You have to know how to finish characters, and you have to be able to have the resources. When you have the opportunity to finish someone, you have to make sure you have enough resources for it. So if you just spend all your resources getting meaningless damage off, then that's what it is. It's meaningless. Like for example right here, he uses a wild sense, and what does he do with it? He just sits there and charges his ki. I go up to him, open him up. Why did you just sit there and charge your ki after wild sense? And he could have used that wild sense to take that opportunity that when he knocked me back to switch his character, but he does not. and that was a terrible decision. I go up to him, use high tension, gain key advantage in the case if he super counters me, and I'm able to down his character. He knows that's a loss condition, and then rage quits. If you know losing a character is a loss condition, then why aren't you preserving your characters? You need to do meaningful damage and then have the resources to do even more damage to finish someone. And again, that's not to say this game doesn't need any tweaks, but a lot of you guys out there are just making terrible decisions. And he was probably thinking, oh, I outplayed him the entire time. All he did was switch his characters constantly. It's like, that's not what outplaying means. Just because you do more damage to me in the beginning of the game, maybe win a few engagements, that is not outplaying. Outplaying is out-strategizing. I played the long game. I was able to gain back momentum. I was able to use my resources correctly. He spent his resources trying to get as much damage as he can, which can work, especially if he keeps it up. But he couldn't keep it up, and I was able to regenerate my health and make that damage pretty meaningless. Had he saved a lot of his resources, damaged me with physical attacks, and then used those resources to finish me, then he could have outplayed me. But that's the unfortunate case of this game. If you don't like it, then I'm sorry. That's just how it is. It's like a lot of haters say, this is not a real fighting game. Yeah, it's not a real fighting game. And that's why you fail at it, because you don't realize that there's a lot of strategy. It's not a traditional fighter. But if you learned something, like and subscribe. Have a good night, you guys.